Hello and welcome back to Youth Code Jam's online Bits and Bytes lessons. Today we are continuing to work in Microsoft's MakeCode Arcade platform. We're going to be making a game and it's called Touchdown. So perhaps by the guess you can infer that it's a football game of sorts. So let's go ahead and get started by opening up a new browser window. So I'm going to exit out of here, escape my presentation, and go to arcade.makecode.com. And this is our landing screen here, our home page. You can see I've done other projects. These are saved in my cookies. If you have not worked in this platform before, you won't have anything here. Take a note that none of these names of my programs have my name on them. So it doesn't matter if you're working on a home computer or a public computer, get in the habit of not using your name in projects. Unless it's an assignment for school and your teacher specifically says include your name in the file name of this project. Otherwise, get in the habit of coming up with a descriptive name that makes sense for what the program is or does, but don't use your personal name in it. It's just for safety reasons. You don't want your name just sitting out there, especially your full first and last name. So I'm going to just name this program Touchdown and click Create. This is the editor. If you did the MakeCode microbit lessons with us, it's kind of the same idea. We have our drawers here in our workspace. Instead of the simulator of the microbit, we have kind of a Game Boy simulator here, which are the different company than MakeCode. So maybe I shouldn't say Game Boy, but that's basically what it looks like. If you don't know what a Game Boy was, I think they still have them, but this is what an early version of the Game Boy looked like. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to use some new blocks today. If you've done our other MakeCode Arcade lessons, we did a lot of these basic ones here, but today we're actually going to get into the gaming drawer, so that'll be fun. And that's where we're going to start. So what you're going to do is go to the game drawer, and you're going to get the block that says Splash. So right here, prompt Splash. Place that in our on start, and type in Touchdown, and that's one word. So now if I come over here and run my program, you can see here, this is our start screen. It's waiting for us to do something. And if you can tell on my screen, but definitely on yours, you see this little A hovering off to the side. It wants you to press the A button to start. But we don't have anything here yet, so it just sends us to an empty screen. But that's what that does. It's a prompt to do something. It tells you the name of the game and then tells you how to start it. So before we get into coding our characters and what they do, we need to set up our background. So go to the scene drawer, and get a set background image 2 block. And we're gonna make our own background today because we have to make our own field. So what you're gonna do here is click on the gray square and it's going to take us to this editor. Hold on, something's funny here. Oh no, okay, we're good. Okay, so we're going to draw our field first and then add some items on top of it. So click on the bright green color here and then choose the paint bucket and bring that over to our editing space and click once. So it's going to fill up our whole field of green. That's perfect. Now we're going to add some lines. As you know, a field, I'm not a sports person, so you're going to get very vague descriptions here, but there are markers across the field. So we're going to do that for the midpoint and the 2 end zones. And how we're going to figure that out is we're going to use the coordinates within our image here. So if you come down to the bottom, you see this image is 160 pixels long by 120 pixels tall, or wide, if that's how you want to interpret it. And you can see as I drag my cursor over it, there are little numbers appearing next to the size of our design space. So right now my cursor is at 3665 and now 7760. So the first number is our X, or our left and right position, and the second number is our Y, or our up and down positions. You can see how they change. This is a little tricky to work with, so just be patient. We're going to draw our first line at 20, 0 from top to bottom. So I'm going to get my white color and come to the top here and move my cursor across till it says 20, 0 right there. You can see it kind of drop down to 1. That's okay, I'll go back and fix it later. But I'm just going to take my cursor and hold down the shift key and then draw all the way down. And I know that looks funny, but I'm going to straighten it and it's going to give me another line. Okay, so we have some issues here. I'm going to go back through and fill in the gap at the top by just clicking once, and same at the bottom. And to get rid of that extra square I added, I'm just going to use the eraser tool right here and hover over it once. And you can see I need to refill that with green. That's okay. So that reactivates the pencil. Okay, so that's going to be a little tricky. If it takes you a few times, that's okay. You can always pause this video and work it out. The next one we're going to do, I'm going to make sure my color is back to white. I'm going to use that line tool again. And I'm going to go to the middle, which is going to be at 80, 0. So remember, this line is at 20. It starts at 20, 0 and goes all the way down to 20. Should go down to 21, 20. Yeah, goes all the way down. So I'm going to go back to the top and look for the 80, 0 spot. That's 9. So you can see my squares down here now say 80, 0. Again, I'm using the line tool, so I'm going to hold down the shift key and click down and draw down the best I can. You can see about every time it's going to miss that first 0 mark. That's okay. I'm just going to come back and fill it in later with my little block here. But using the line tool will save you a lot of time. So it's easy to go back and get those few squares we missed, but it's harder to do a straight line all the way down of clicking, clicking. You can see. Undo that, undo, there we go. The last one we're going to do, our line's going to start at 140 at the top here. 140, 0. I'm going to click and drag all the way down. Oops, I'm actually going to undo that because it's not quite in the right spot. 137, 139, 140. Okay, and then go back and fill at the top. So it's very important to close off those top points so that when we change the colors on the sides, it doesn't change our whole filled color. So that's why I went back and made sure I closed those lines at the top. Now I'm going to switch back to the paint bucket tool, and I'm going to choose blue. And my left end field, I'm going to paint blue. So you can see, because I had that white line all the way from top to bottom, the blue stayed over here. And now I'm going to change blue to red and do the right infield, and we can see the red over here. Okay, so again, I went through that kind of fast because I'm familiar with how it works and know how to work with the system. It might take you as a newbie a couple tries to get it going right and to get your lines all the way down. That's okay, just be patient, and if you need to, go ahead and pause the video, rewind if you need to see how I did something. And then pick up when you're ready. If you're good to go, I am going to go to the next start. And if you saw that, I forgot to tell you, once your screen is done, go ahead and click done in the bottom corner here. All right. So we still need to do a little work on our backgrounds, but this one's going to be much easier. We're going to use a tile map to kind of give us an invisible area to work within, and we'll see how that works later. So go back to scenes and get a set tile map. Place it underneath our set backdrop, our set background. Click the gray square. We're not going to do anything too crazy in here. You're just going to come down to where it says 16 and then the little lock icon in 16 and change that to 10 and 8. And 8 right there. So what this is going to do is kind of limit some spaces within the game. We're not going to see it be active too much, but it is going to help the game run in the back end. So just go ahead and click done. And now with all that done, we can move on to creating our player and our opponent. So I want you to go to the sprites drawer and get 2 of these My Sprite blocks, this first one right here, and add them to our unstart block. And you can see they come with the default of MySprite and MySprite2. We're going to practice renaming them. So these are variable names, or really, technically this would be an object more than a variable, but bear with us. We're going to stick with what they have here. So we want our variable names to be descriptive of what the item actually is, or what the variable is holding. So for this first one, click the drop-down menu next to MySprite, change it to rename variable, and name it player1. Click OK. For the second one, you're going to name it enemy1. So same thing, click the drop down, rename variable, choose enemy1. Okay. And then we're going to choose our characters for both of these, and they're going to be football players. So click on the gray square for player 1, go to gallery. We're going to look for the football player that's holding the ball. Okay, so you can see him here, he's red. There's a couple where he's holding the ball. You can choose whichever one you want. I'm going to go with this one right here. And before we press OK, we want to do a couple things to him, because he's going to be our, we're going to make him the blue team, because there's a red and a blue end zone on our field, so we're going to make him the blue team. And so the first thing we're going to do is change our colors using, keep it on the pencil tool and just change the blue. And then wherever you see red, place your cursor and click there. If you want, you can make your square a little bigger so it doesn't take as long, but it's not as clean either, so I'm going to stick with the small one, even though it takes me a little bit more time. Okay. And now we're going to flip which direction this one faces. So the second triangle, okay, so we're going to flip the direction he faces. So right now our character is facing the right. We want him to face left. So you can see these triangles up here. This one says flip vertical. Go right next door to it. It's going to say flip horizontal. We want that one. And now you can press done. And next you're going to go to the enemy sprite and choose their character. So again, we're going to go down to those football players. This time we're going to keep them red and keep them facing the same direction that they are facing here. So get one without a football in his hand. So I'm going to go with this one. Yep, press done. And then the last thing we're going to do is on our enemy sprite, you can see right here they have kind of, or of kind, sprite of kind. Our first one is player. We don't want the enemy sprite to be a player. We want it to be of an enemy. So click the drop down and choose enemy. And we have created our sprites. Now if I come over here and press play on my game, and then press the A button, we're going to see them on the field, but they can't really do anything. We haven't given them controls. We haven't told them how to move, nothing. So right now they just exist on the game, but they can't do anything. Let's go ahead and change that. We're going to work with player 1 to start with and give them a starting position. So let's go to the set sprite drawer and then get the block that says set player, or it's going to actually default to set my sprite. So get the block that says set my sprite to XY. Right here, set my sprite position to XY. Add that underneath our set enemy block. So there it goes. It reloaded my game. Each time we make a change, it's going to reload our game, which is why I keep mine stopped, because that's a lot of extra energy on my computer, and sometimes it overheats. Yours might start lagging, so I just go ahead and keep it stopped. You can see that when it reloaded, it found an error in our code. That's what this is right here. It's a warning, because we're using the variable name MySprite, but we don't have an actual variable called that already in our code. So we need to use this drop down. And like I said, we're working with player 1 right now. So you're going to choose player 1. And then set the starting position to x should be 10 and y should be 60. And if you want to save some time, we're going to set enemy 1 next with some changes, but let's save a little bit of time. Right click on that set player block, click duplicate, add it to your code. This time instead of player 1, change it to enemy 1 on the variable name. Our x position is going to start at 150. And for y, we're going to let it be random. So go to the math drawer and get the block that says pick random 0 to 10. Place that over the 60. Change 0 to 15 and 10 to 105. So now when I come over and start my game, you're going to see our players are on 2 different sides here. Okay. Alright, so now we need, whoops, there goes my instruction sheet, sorry. Now we need a way to move our characters. So go to the controller drawer and grab the Move Sprite with Buttons block. Once again, change my sprite to player 1. Click the plus sign at the end of that block, and it's going to have Vx of 100 and Vy of 100. Change both of those to 50. So we won't move quite as fast. It'll be a little bit more fun. Okay, so the enemy sprite is going to follow our player sprite around. So go back to the My Sprite block and look for the block that says set sprite. It will say set something, follow something with speed. So we're looking for set and follow essentially. Set and follow. Set image. I must have missed it. Set velocity, set position. I don't think that's it. No, that's not the block we want. Sorry, I missed it. Under physics, it's the very last one. It says set my enemy, follow my sprite. Add it to our blocks down here. Make sure to change our variable names to the correct variables. So we want enemy 1 following player 1. Click that plus sign, and it says with the speed of 100, we're going to have it with the speed of 30. We don't want our enemy to have an unfair advantage, or our opponent. Okay, so now we're going to move into a couple gaming things here. We have our characters and their movements set up. We need to tell the game when we've won and when we've lost next. So go back to the sprites drawer, and you're going to get a block that says on sprite of kind player overlaps other sprite of kind. I think it also says player at the end. So we're going to scroll down to where it says overlaps and get this first event block. And the only thing we need to change here is this last drop down where it says player, change that to enemy. Then go to the game drawer and get this game over lose block. So if our player is touching our enemy, then we've lost the game. So that's one thing to consider, but there's other situations we have to account for win and lose. So this now go back to the loop, go to the loop store for the first time, grab a forever block. So what this means is that whatever code is in here, it's going to be checked constantly throughout the game. So we're going to constantly be checking for a couple situations to see if we've won or lost. So go to the logic drawer, grab this if true then else block, place it inside the forever block. Hit the plus sign once, and then hit this minus sign after the last else once. So you should have if true, then else if, then, and that's it. Okay, so we need to account for a couple situations here, which doesn't feel like there's enough it's else. We'll have to check that in a second. Sorry, talking to myself. Alright, let's check for a couple situations going on here. We want to go to the scene drawer and scroll down to find is my sprite hitting wall left. Here we go, right here under collisions, is my sprite hitting wall left, and add that to our first if statement. We're going to leave almost everything as is, except change my sprite to player 1. And then I'm going to add another game over block. So I'm just going to duplicate that from above, place my duplicate inside, and change lose to win. Okay. So yeah, we need, in this else if, we need one more here. So we need 2 else ifs down here. Then we're going to go to the logic drawer and get an OR block. So that's under Boolean. Get 2 ORs and place them in our blanks. Then we're going to place this hitting wall block on each side. So I'm going to duplicate this 4 times. Oops. Alright, we're on twice right now. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I have 4 of those duplicated. I'm going to put 1 on either side of the ORs in both of our its else statements. So this is going to keep our character on the screen. And we're going to change this first one to be hitting wall right. And hitting wall top. Oh wait, no, sorry, this was a giant OR statement. So I had you guys add that last one in there. Go ahead and remove it. And we need to do some tricky stuff here. Okay, so I'm going to unbuild that and just leave these off to the side here. We need this all in one OR. I think I need one more OR. Nope, I only need 3 of these. Okay, sorry, this activity sheet needs some work now that I'm working through it as a student. Okay, so we have 3 of these hitting wall blocks. Put 1 in that first blank and make sure the drop down says right. Put 1 in the second and it should say top. And in the last one, put that one and make sure it says bottom. So we're checking if we're hitting the right side, the top, or the bottom of the screen. And if we are, then we're going to set it to game lose by just duplicating that code. And now we're going to go over here and try to run the code. So touchdown, press A to start. So I started way over there. So you can keep playing. If you want, you can try to find a way to add a score or give yourself lives. There's ways to do that. Score and lives already exist within the info drawer. But you can keep playing with that and explore. I apologize for some of the hiccups before. I was looking at pictures and not reading, so that's why you should always read instructions. That's it for this activity. If you would like to join our live sessions, you can go to youthcodejam.org and under Find Programs, find Bits and Bytes. And you can sign up for our live sessions by clicking this link up here or this one down here. And we do registration with our partner Palo Alto, so they will handle all the registrations. You can sign up for what's left for spring 21 Bits and Bytes, or you can sign up for them individually based on your students' interests. So by individually, we mean a whole 2-week session. So that's 4 lessons in the 2 weeks. Lessons are from 4:30 to 5:30 CST, Monday through Wednesday. And if you miss a lesson, obviously we do some recordings are available both here and on our YouTube channel. So we've made a lot of things available to you guys if you're not able to make that time. But that's all for today, and I hope to see you in our next lesson.